Tune into this week's episode, episode 77, Between Two Bridges. We let Mr. Drusky carry the tune.
You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Joe Ferranti and Jerry Kenna. Produced by Nathan Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode of Between Two Bridges is brought to you by Duro Cleaners. Luxury laundry care conveniently delivered to your door. Visit durocleaners.com because life's better without laundry.
All right. Tune in this week, episode 77, starting off with Jerry here and Mr. Drusky from Drusky Entertainment. Is it Mr.?
Yes.
Okay.
Not Mrs.
Well, no. Some people are like, don't you dare call me Mr. It's Brian.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Brian is fine.
Didn't look like the kind of guy that identifies as a lady, bud.
Yeah. I don't know. It's early yet.
Starting this one off real well.
Yeah,
We've been canceled already.
So, Drusky Entertainment, right? That's your big thing, or
Yes. It's my company.
how long? How long have you been in business?
20 years.
20 years.
So what exactly is Drusky Entertainment? What do you do?
We promote concerts. Right now we do about anywhere from 600 to 700 events a year. It's not just in Pittsburgh. I mean, we go to places like Ohio and West Virginia, New York, in Evansville, Indiana, Kentucky, all over the place.
Do you work with the venue or do you work with the artist, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know, so how does that all work? So do you sign a deal with the artist and then try to find him venues, or or do you get an event that you then have to try to promote the event? How does it work? Tell us about how the business works.
How it works usually is that there's a plethora of different agents that represent all different artists. So I've been doing it long enough where people are calling me and say, this band's coming around this, they want to play June 8th, 9th, or 10th in Pittsburgh or wherever. And, does this make sense for you do you want to do the show? And then we find a place to actually do it. And then we agree on the price. And, sometimes we don't agree on the price and then I don't do it and somebody else does it, or somebody else does it because they have a better offer than I do. So it's very competitive. How
did you get into this? You said 20 years?
Yeah, I was working for a company called Caesar Engler before this.
Okay.
And before that, I had my own little company where I worked with local bands and booked colleges and stuff like that. So I did that, and then that's where I met Rich Engler from Caesar Engler and worked there for about 9 years and went out on my own in 2005. 2005.
What are some of the larger bands that you've worked with and in the area?
I've done Foo Fighters.
Okay.
I've done Pearl Jam, Wiz Khalifa, think some other ones. ZZ Top. That was just recently. I booked bands like John Mayer before they were anybody. Linkin Park, where they were the first of three on a show. Trying to think of some other ones like that, where they were just Slipknot before anyone knew who they were. So
yeah,
kind of fun stuff like that.
That's kind of fun that you get to see them before.
Yeah.
Have you always had a passion for the music industry, or?
Yeah, when I was a little kid, everyone else was reading other like sports magazines and stuff. I like sports, don't get me wrong, but I was reading Billboard. So,
Okay.
you know what I mean? I was looking at the charts and stuff like that. Music has always been my thing, you know.
We had a guest on a few weeks ago. Michael Linder
Yeah.
from 28 North. But he told us kind of something you just don't think of is like you go to a bar, you hear a guy playing music, you know, you think he's trying to make it big, but not everybody's trying to make it big. There's working artists in this business too. But your clientele is people that are doing tours. They're putting together, like they'll be here, they'll be in Bristol, Connecticut next week. They're out and trying to move it.
Yeah, for the most part, that's what I do. I mean, there is a need for local bands too. I mean, I book a lot of local bands for different events, like openers and stuff like that. And probably one of the only one, shouldn't say only, but one of the big proponents of getting local bands into the into bigger shows and showcasing them on better shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you have a headliner coming into town, he needs someone to open for him.
Yeah,
just
not all the time, but yeah.
It's like comedians, they need someone local.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, so.
Do you set up those openers? Do you try to work that out? So if the band is coming in and they want to have an opener, or do they typically have their own openers?
Everyone's different.
Okay.
Everyone's different. I mean, some of them have a package tour and there's no room for any local talent, but then some, they're just coming and you can put a local act on it. So, but as I said, we try to try to showcase Pittsburgh as much as we can.
Yeah, I think for a large part of my life, I mean, obviously my adult life now, because I'm 41, like it seemed like a lot of shows in Pittsburgh were brought to you by your company. You know what I mean? Like you listen to 105.9 The X back in the day, it was like every time it was like brought to you by you guys. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And like now that you've been in it 20 years, from the beginning to now, what do you see like some of the bigger differences that you've had to compete with?
No, I mean, it's Pittsburgh is a very much more competitive now. I mean, back in 2005 when I started, there wasn't as many venues and promoters that were doing what I was doing, so it was easier to get a foothold in the marketplace. Because when I left, which was Clear Channel Entertainment, which turned into Live Nation. They were merged to make the Live Nation. They were getting out of like the smaller stuff and just staying in their amphitheaters. And so it was, I was filling a void there where there was no one else doing anything. So it was kind of like I kind of ran the roost for a little bit. And then everyone saw how successful things were for me. So then they're like, oh, well, maybe we should try this. And, the bigger companies get back into what we were doing.
Saw a little. Yeah. So one of the things I think that it's not a point for us to talk about on this show, but it will come up. So I bring it up. During the COVID years, you guys obviously were at a standstill, huh?
Yeah.
So good to be like a little bit of so after that, did it change? Did the big companies get away from it and then you survived again, or?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I was one of the only people who did shows during COVID. We did the drive-in shows out in Butler.
Yeah.
Someone came up with that idea. I can't remember where I read it, but
there was a comedian, Bert Kreischer, that kind of.
Yeah, I did that one.
Yeah, he was the one that he felt like he invented that.
Yeah.
So he's a funny guy. We'll give him the credit. We'll give him the note for it.
Yeah, but yeah, so then I talked to a couple drive-ins. I mean, because the drive-ins was one of the things you could do. Not everything was closed, and like movie theaters were closed because they're enclosed. But drive-ins, you were in the you're in the car and whatever, and that worked out. That worked out good. It was funny because we had to make sure everything was different. You had your car. It had to be 6 feet away from another car, and then it was, and that's how we had to park. I didn't park them, but the people who were parking them, they parked them at 6 feet, and then we had to make announcements on what you can and can't do. Stay where you're at. If you have to go to the bathroom, stay 6 feet apart from people. Go get a beer, stay 6 feet apart from people. All those different things that we were doing. But people still wanted their entertainment because, like I said, Bert Kreischer. I mean,
it's a big draw for those shows because you had one option: stay home or go there. Like,
Yeah.
So, and people everybody was willing to just go wherever.
Yeah. And like I said, like at Burt Kreischer, we did 2 shows with him. I mean, sold both of them out. It was great. He was actually a real fun guy too. He like went around and he met everybody. He's just a real down to earth type of dude.
So how big is Drusky Entertainment? How many employees do you have, or is it
about 7 of us?
7
full time. Probably, and then we have a lot of people that work the shows and everything. They're kind of part time,
Sure.
but yeah, 7 full time employees.
Vendor relationships probably pretty important in your industry, like having vendor relationships, or do you not have to deal with like a lot of that? That's not part of your business.
No, since I don't really. I do have some vendor relationships with, depending on what we're talking about, whether it's on the light vendors or things like that. But like not, since I don't own a venue per se.
Yeah.
I don't really deal with like your beer companies and food companies and those type of vendors.
So more along just promotion.
Yeah.
Making sure that everybody shows up. It's like your
exactly.
job. Yeah, has a good time and shows up. Did you start the company alone? Was it just
Yeah, just me. For probably the first 2 years, I did everything on my own. So I'm gonna say it was 2 years, and then started getting bigger, and then I had to hire another person, and then hired some more people, and just kept on growing.
How do you get in the door for something like that? I mean, for most people, being able to even get in contact with an agent that's representing a band or a entertainer of any of that sort seems intimidating. And then even like on the promotion or on the venue side, how do you get in the door to some of these larger venues to become, how did you sell yourself as not just some guy, but as somebody that's going to be able to put serious entertainers into these serious venues? How did you do that?
Well, we got to grow at that point. Like I had a lot of relationships with the agents and stuff when I was working for DeCesar Engler.
Okay.
And so, I took most of those relationships with me because a lot of people were the same. And then, as people retire or get out of the business or pass, new people come on. And then I'm still in their database per se, knowing that, I book a lot of shows with like a company like William Morris or, well, it's WME now, but UTA and CAA and some of these larger companies. So they know that, if I want to if they want to book a show with me or I want to book a show with them, they know that I have a good track record to do so. Yeah.
I think that's anything in business. Like if you're going to say you're going to show up, you better be there. You know what I mean? Like you better do what you say you're going to do.
Well, yeah. And that's a lot of the things. You don't make money on every show. So, and that's what separates the men from the boys. If you're going to, the people that want to be promoters and try to be promoters and they don't know how to do it. And then then they get scared because, they might lose $10,000 or $20,000 on a show because they bit off more than they could chew. And then they don't pay the band, and then that's just a big no-no. Yeah, it's a death.
Yeah.
No one's going to deal with you after that.
And like a lot of times I think people think, and it's kind of back to what we were saying earlier about like gig artists and like working artists and like headliners. I think people think when you're a promoter, like you're sitting around waiting for Taylor Swift to call.
Yeah.
And you're going to put on the Eras tour. But there's also like a huge, Jerry owns a accounting firm, and there's H&R Blocks of the world,
Yeah.
and in any business. And then there's the guy in the middle, that just kind of does his thing. Some of the things that like I always think when I think about like shows is like the green room and stuff like that. You don't have to worry about any of that. You found you're just in the little window here. Like, you don't have to worry about all that bullshit.
So what all are you involved in? So you negotiate the deal with the agent. You've got the talent. Mm-hmm. Then you call the venue. Yeah. You lock down a venue.
Well, usually I have the venues that I work with already. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of filling the calendar per se. Like now, if it's somewhere where I don't use that often, like say, like a place like the Benedum or whatever, I could have called them and figure out whatever. But, like if I'm going into say the Carnegie Music Hall of Homestead or Jurgles or whatever, anything like that. So places that I already consistently do business, then I'm just filling the calendar, go this date's open, that date's open. But so I've already had the relationships with the venues figured out for the most part.
Yeah, pick up the phone.
Yeah, but if I want to do a show like at the PPG Arena, I have done in the past, but I don't do it too often because one, it's almost impossible in this day and age to. It's either going to be Live Nation or AEG. You know what I mean? They have tours going out so it's almost hard to pick off somebody that's not with one of those larger companies on a large tour. So.
Yeah, so the same relationships you have locally, they have nationally.
Yeah.
And
so what all then? Once it's booked, then you're in charge of marketing the show.
Yep. And producing
filling the
it.
seats, ass in the seats.
Yeah. So we market the show, and like you said, get the asses in the seats, but you were also producing the show, so making sure that the day of show, especially on a bigger show, you have if they're not carrying sound the lights, you have the right sound the lights as their rider, and the catering's got to be good, and you got to make sure that, whether I'm hiring security for an event or the venue is, it's all those different pieces that make up the puzzle to put on a concert. So, my company, whether it be somebody who works for me or whatever, we're responsible to actually produce the event to make sure it actually goes on.
What are some of the ways that you use to market a show?
The normal ways. That's changed a lot. Like you said before, you would hear, radio spots, brought to you by Drusky Entertainment. We still do that depending on what show it is, but in the last 20 years, that's changed a lot. As we all know, everyone's got a phone in their hand and everything's internet based, and you're looking on your phone, you're going on something, boom, you'll see an ad for a show, and that's not like, we all do that, so it's not just me, but that's how you get to people, because we don't. There's people that don't listen to the radio anymore. They'll have the Spotify on, and you can't really get to them, or they're listening to Sirius Radio or whatever. So it used to be. We used to take ads out in newspapers, and that is like, even no one reads the newspaper anymore. There's newspapers that. Good.
The city paper, I see on the back, they'll have like a list of all the concerts and venues. But
we used to, but it was, you're spending money on ads like that, and they're better well spent doing Facebook marketing or Twitter marketing or TikTok marketing.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where the paper ought to pay you to put an ad in, because they need filler space. Like, they should have to pay you to allow them,
Yeah.
And I still do some print marketing, and I do it because they probably sent a really good salesman and got me,
Yeah.
But try to get into the hands of some people maybe. But I think that print adding, like stuff like that's kind of way by.
Yeah, we used to take full page ads out in one of the papers where it was the front. You open it up the first page and you'd have Drusky Entertainment. Sometimes two, a lot of times just one, but right on the back of the front cover. We used to do that all the time, but just wasn't cost effective anymore.
Yeah. There's certain people probably that are going to listen to this and be like, come on, man, that's all I do is sell print ads. What the fuck? Now I'm out of business. But it's the truth. And that's the biggest thing you learn in business. You need to evolve. But like, when I say they got a good salesman, I always think like, well, maybe I'll catch a couple people that are just, because I own a dry cleaners. Yeah. So like, some of my clients are older, you know what I mean? They don't even have a smartphone, they don't. They have a house phone still. So, and like, he does taxes. So like, there is a certain, not everybody that gets their taxes done is, 41 years old, but.
Yeah. The production side of the business has to be a challenge. I was at a Steeler game last year, and I got tickets from somebody, and they won the tickets, so we ended up with sideline passes for pregame.
Nice.
And I'm down on the sidelines and I'm watching, and I've had Pitt season tickets, and one of my family members works for Pitt, so we'll get down on the sidelines before the game there, and just watching the number of people involved in making that event happen.
Oh yeah.
Is, and you know, in an NFL game is a whole new level, a whole nother level. But there's just watching the TV people, the medical people, the trainers, the security staff. There's just so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people, that are all there to just make sure that every aspect of that production is going to go smoothly. That I can't imagine. I mean, like when you were just saying about, you know, the catering and the lights and the sound, and all that stuff. Like I would have never thought about the catering side of it. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that these people are fed. You got to make sure that they're staying happy. Last thing you want is that entertainer not being happy with what you've provided for them, because the next time that agent may not call you.
Correct. Yeah, exactly how it works.
So
You're in a relationship business, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Trust.
Exactly.
You gotta have trust and
and then the bigger, like I said, the bigger the events, the more people. Like, I mean, just think about, there's even more aspects that you have to deal with. Like, say, if you're dealing with, like, I think someone just mentioned Taylor Swift just a minute ago. So if you're doing
I'm the Swiftie in the room.
There you go. you not only do you dealing with that aspect of just a big, massive show, but she's got probably 50 tractor trailers and 10 buses. I'm just throwing that out there. She may be, but I'm just giving you an example. But then you got to find where you're parking all those. So you're talking with the city, or you're talking, okay, well, I need to buy all this parking out by the stadium. You know, so it's more aspects. The larger the shows, the more you have to do. Yeah. You know, so I mean, you're dealing with that, and then you're dealing with, like you're saying, the Pitt games. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, with a larger show, you got could be 100 stagehands, and you know, for an event, and probably 150 or so security, and then all the concession workers. I mean, there's probably 300, 400, 500 people doing that. Yeah. You know, ticket takers, security. I mean, at a big stadium event, there's probably, let's say, probably 1,000 people or more working.
That's crazy, because like we're on the brink of having the U.S. Open here. Yeah. Right across the river, and like Oakmont Country Club is not designed to park 1,000 extra cars. You know what I mean? So like the behind the scenes stuff, and as a person, that's kind of the stuff that, like, the golfing is cool, and I'm a golf fan, and I appreciate Sunday when the final putt's made, but to watch them build villages, like, so and
especially in a small town like Oakmont, Oakmont is not designed to have. Would they say there's going to be 30,000 people in town?
Yeah, I think 375 over 4 days or something like that.
375?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a town with, 8,000 people in it?
Right.
That live in it. And now all of a sudden you're going to introduce that number of people over a week. I mean, there's the logistics that goes along with an event of that caliber is mind-blowing.
Oakmont Bakery is busy now.
Yeah. You won't be able to make a left or right turn on that off that week,
but they're all staying. I mean, I'm sure people are staying in Monroeville, and they're probably staying.
They're all over. Yeah.
I see them. They're working on the turnpike right now. Like they're working on the exit when you get off in East Oakmont. Yeah, because they're gonna have to have that thing open and closing for all those buses and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just a precursor to what's going to happen next year with the NFL draft. That's going to be.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be insane.
That's massive.
And it's going to be fun for you downtown.
We'll see.
It's going to be a big party. Like,
we'll see what happens with what's going on or what's happening. But it's something we've never seen. So like we've never seen a Super Bowl here either. So that would be even crazier.
Yeah, it's people are fanatics for a reason. They'll travel near and far and do what they got to do.
Yeah, they said. I mean, they said. The amount of people that, because I guess everybody, I never realized how big it was until, you start seeing like everyone's talking about it a year in advance.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way either. I thought they had it like Music City Hall in New York City, and like 20,000 people got tickets, and that was it.
Yeah,
but apparently it's like a 3-day.
Oh yeah, that's what they're doing. You know, because I mean, I think was it in Detroit last year, and you saw at least like there's so many people.
Yeah, Detroit, Kansas City, that area in Detroit we were talking about. It's 70 blocks long of people.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what's the excitement?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny.
Especially after like the first 23 picks, it's like, who cares? It's like Jimbo Sweeney, tailback, Mississippi State Southern University.
Yeah.
And then it's like, he never even made it to the league. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah, I know. But it is interesting. It's like, why, you wonder why it's such a big event that it is. But it's glad that we got it in Pittsburgh. That's the thing.
I mean, it's an honor for the city to have it. So I think it's also funny that like we still might not have a quarterback, so we might be picking pretty high in that draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite venue to work with?
Nah, it's hard. They're all different. I mean, they're all different. They have all different loves to them, you know, for what I do. I mean, I just started working with this amphitheater out near Nemacolin in Farmington, Timber Rock Amphitheater. It's a nice little place. I got a lot of stuff coming there this year. I mean, Jurgles, I do 200 shows a year there, probably. You know, that's a great place. You know, Carnegie Music Hall of Homestead, you know.
I was just there for the first time. I didn't even realize what that was.
Yeah.
But I was just there for to see Whitney Cummings, comedian.
Yeah, we do a lot of comedy there. It's great venue for comedy.
Yeah, it was good.
Actually, Chappelle did that years ago.
Yeah, we did six shows with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was like I was bummed out I didn't get tickets, and then he announced another show and I didn't get tickets. And I think I was in the 4th show. I was like, nice.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is that place has existed for 120 years now.
Yeah.
But like no one was never really used. Like somebody called me up in, I want to say it was 2007, and they said, we have a 1,000 capacity theater over here in Homestead. Would you like to look at it? I go, there's no 1,000 capacity venue.
So you founded it. Like,
I didn't find. Well, somebody called me. Yeah, I'm the only person who's really done shows there. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And they're like, I said, I've been doing this for 10 years, at least 10 years with the Caesar Engler, or 9 years with the Caesar Engler. I said, I know every venue in the city. They're like, I'm like, well, there's 1,000 capacity theater here.
Yeah, it's a library, but it's also
So I go in, I go, how did I not know this existed?
Yeah,
so it's great. Cool. I mean, it was. I'm like, because 1,000 people is no joke, you know. It's like there's small theaters that maybe have like 200 or 300, but like when you have a place in 1,000 people, it's like boom, it's a good number,
especially for a comedy show.
Did you do the Whitney Cummings show there?
Yeah, I do all the shows there at the Carnegie Music Hall of Homestead.
Okay,
yeah,
it was a good show.
Yeah, she's funny.
Yeah, I like that place. It was a cool spot, and we got in there, and then we went to go find the bar. And we're going through the library, and I'm like, there's no way we're going the right way. And then you go back to the hallway, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, are we supposed to be going back here? And then all of a sudden I see all the bars there set up, and I'm like, this place is awesome.
Yep. There's a pool downstairs too.
A pool?
Yeah.
Swimming pool?
Swimming pool. And upstairs there's a gym. So people actually belong there. And go to the gym and they use the pool too. We have a gym membership.
It's a cool building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, even I think you were saying like that, you just didn't think about all these places that are newer venues. I mean, I'm not old. I'm just over 40, and like that's newer. Yeah. And it's like it's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
And then you have Jurgles that was newer. You know, it was in our lifetime. You know, Stage AE wasn't there when we were young.
No.
So.
I've still not seen a show at Stage AE. I've not been to Stage AE yet.
I did see one there. When I first started dating my wife, she was a big Arctic Monkeys fan.
Oh, okay.
And we were literally like 3 months dating. Yeah. And I was like, I'll get tickets, and it was sold out. And I'm like, I never even heard of these guys. How are they sold out? You know? So I ended up going online, and somebody won Coors Light passes like on a radio show or something, and I drove to Monroeville, and I overpaid I paid like Garth Brooks prices to see the Arctic Monkeys. But we had like and I didn't realize at the time, but they had those private like suites.
Yeah.
Like where you like kind of were outside and just chilling. It was just the two of us in there. I'm like, just hanging out. We have all this room. It was like a box for 8.
That's my kind of way to go see a concert.
No wonder she is like, oh yeah, I'll be with you for the rest of my life. You're loaded.
Little did she know.
Yeah. Then we went to the casino and I was putting nickel bets on black, trying to get my money back for the tickets.
Thank you for listening. And now a brief word from our sponsor. Streamline your life with Duro Cleaners' complete pickup and delivery service. From your doorstep to their state-of-the-art cleaning facility and back, all without you lifting a finger. Get time back in your day and fresh, ready-to-go clothes. And just wait, big things are coming soon to make your experience even better. Visit DuroCleaners.com because life's better without laundry. And now, back to the show.
What was your favorite artist to work with?
Favorite artist to work with? I'd say one of the trying to think of. I would say probably. I thought the funnest show we ever did was Flaming Lips. It was at the Chevrolet Amphitheater, which was in Station Square, which we ran for a couple of years. It was a real fun show.
Podcast fact check. That's the second time I think Flaming Lips has been brought up on this show.
Oh, that's cool.
We had a football coach of mine and an artist, local artist, PJ Smurdell.
Okay.
And he brought up the Flaming Lips on
there
our
you
show.
go.
So like you wouldn't think that a business podcast would have that come up twice, but
The Pepsi Amphitheater's gone, huh?
Which one?
The Pepsi Amphitheater's gone, huh?
What?
Is that
The one
that
past-
Pepsi? The Pepsi Amphitheater, the one in
Burgerstown?
no, the one in or wait, which ones did you just say down Station Square?
It was the Trib.
Ice Light
Trib-
Amphitheater.
Yeah, it was the Ice Light. It was the Ice Light Amphitheater. Then that closed. And
Now
then
the
it
River
was
Hounds are there.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a Trib Total Media Amphitheater.
But now the River Hounds are there. It's gone.
Yeah, that's been gone. Yeah,
I saw the Clarks there once. That was the only time I was ever at that venue.
Yeah, but I did the last show I did at. The last show I did at the Riverhound Stadium, Highmark Stadium.
I will
We
always
did
call it
Toby-
the Ice Light Amphitheater.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in.
Yeah. But Toby Keith, I did Toby Keith's last show in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was wild because I remember seeing him out at, we'll call it Star Lake for the kids, but that's had 1,000 names.
It's
And
Star
then-
Lake again, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's back to Star
it's
Lake
back
now.
to Star
And I
Lake.
was shocked to see him do a smaller venue like that.
Yeah.
But hey, everything changes. But do you guys do haunted houses too? Do I remember that? No, you never had Phantom Fright Nights or whatever it was down there. What was Station Scare?
Yeah, I mean, we did that for a little bit. I wasn't involved too much with that. I helped promote it, but it wasn't anything I was involved with.
I remember there was like a poster at one point I think I saw.
Yeah, when the Caesar Engler days, we did that, but not my company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun because like, you think like, oh, this is my gig, this is what I do, but every like couple years you're pivoting or else you'd be out of business.
Yeah, you got to pivot. I mean that's why we do. I mean, we started doing kids shows and stuff like that, like Coco Melon and Blippi and things like that. So I mean,
Blippi had a fall. He went.
Did he?
Yeah, I guess he upper decked a toilet or did some pooping video.
Oh, that's
then
not
there was
good.
a new Blippi, and my kids were in the Blippi at the time. And the new Blippi came on, and he was like somewhat Asian, and my kids were like, "Yeah, turn this shit off. That's not Blippi." I mean, they just thought they were gonna roll in an Asian Blippi, and we were all gonna be like no one was gonna notice.
The kids are going to notice.
Yeah, kids knew. I could have watched it for hours and not know.
oh yeah.
How about some up and coming artists? Who's some people? Have you worked with any new people coming in that we should know about?
I mean, there's always. I mean, in the country world, these acts go from they weren't anybody, and then boom.
It's like one song.
Yeah, like Lainey Wilson. I mean, she was playing small places, and then she gets on Yellowstone, and then she skyrocketed. But like, I mean, that's happened with a lot of these acts. I mean, Trying to think of somebody that would be. Trying to think of a good one. It's out there right now. That's just so like Dylan Scott, but he's been around for a while. I'm totally drawing a blank.
Yeah.
On one that just like, I mean, I remember like Luke Combs. Like, I mean, he. I was going to do him at Jurgles. It just didn't work out, and then boom, now he's at the stadiums. Morgan Wallen played Jurgles though.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So I think it's funny that we were talking about it'll always be the Icy Light Amphitheater to me. And then they built an amphitheater at Pittsburgh Brewery, and they didn't call it the fucking Icy Light Amphitheater. And now I refuse to go there until they changed the name. Yeah.
Well, you wonder why they didn't want to.
They had an opportunity of a lifetime. You know, some people, they need to get into my headspace.
Pittsburgh Brewery. What do they call it?
I don't even think they named it. It's just at the brewery.
Yeah.
The brewery, like Pittsburgh Brewery.
Have you done anything there yet?
No.
They do all in-house stuff.
Yeah.
I've yet to be there. Like my life's like, we have 2 little kids, so like that's like out of our wheelhouse, and it's 15 minutes from my house. But I told her, I said, I think I'm waiting for an invite. Like I've spent so much money on Icy Light over the last 21 years. I feel like they should send me an invite, you know. Tape it to the side of my barrel of beer. I get one every 3 weeks.
As far as like kind of music that you prefer to work with, do you work with a particular type of artist, a typical type of genre? Do you care? I mean, obviously you work with anybody, but what's your favorite kind of music, and are you kind of biased towards working with those guys?
I like a lot of everything. I mean, when I was younger, I was more into, alternative rock and stuff like, which I still like, but now I got more into country. Yeah. I like a lot of country now too. So, I mean, say 20 some years ago, I wouldn't dare turn on country station. I was like, what is this? But it's changed. Like, the music has evolved. Like,
it's wild because I think country fans like 20 years ago do not like country music now, but people 20 years ago that didn't like country music. Like they flipped the whole music thing on their like tail end. It's crazy. Like, it's different.
It is different, because I mean, I'll listen. I like, I love Luke Combs. I listen to his stuff all the time. You know what I mean? And like I said, when I was in my 20s or whatever, I was not listening to much country at all. So.
And you said you do work with comedians also. So
a lot of comedians. So I do a lot of, that's why I said, do
shows.
Yeah, anything that's going to potentially sell.
Have you ever had, like, do you remember a show where you were like just sitting there thinking, like, as you said earlier about like you could lose your ass on a show? Mm-hmm. So you're obviously like given a guarantee to the act.
Yes.
That you're gonna fill or somewhat fill this venue.
Yes.
Do you remember a show where you were like, oh, this one's gonna?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's happened.
Was it early on?
There's some that just you think where certain acts are in their career where you think that they're still able to sell that many tickets, and they may or may not be able to. And then some, like a newer act or whatever, you're thinking, okay, well maybe, we'll take a chance on this, and boom, they sell, 1,000 tickets right off the bat. So it's there's no rhyme or reason to it. It used to be easier to figure out what people were buying tickets by the way they would buy CDs. That's like back in the Caesar Engler days, we would get SoundScan and see how many CDs people were buying of different people. But then that didn't always work either, because when you had the pop bands, you sold a lot. There was a lot of people that were buying pop records. Now, not taking out into consideration the big bands like was NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and stuff like that, but these smaller ones, and you would think, oh, well, this is going to do well, and then they didn't do well. Because the kids were buying them, but they weren't doing it. But so it's very hard to judge what people are gonna.
Yeah, we had a guest last week, and that's his whole business is based on data and surveys, and he has Fortune 500 companies that work for him to figure it out. And like you think about, like I forgot about CDs like NRM and like and like what was the where you could pay a penny.
Columbia House,
man. Everybody's in debt to them still to this day.
I saw it on the internet. There's a shirt that somebody says, "I still owe money to Columbia House."
Yeah, that was like growing up. I mean, you could get 10 magazine subscriptions for a penny. You didn't even. They like taped the penny to the ad. Like you didn't email them the penny.
I know. I wonder how they actually made money.
Then you got a letter. Well, debt collection companies bought the debt because they thought they were going to get it. And then my dad was like, "You call here again for that 14-year-old kid. He ain't paying you a fucking dime." Click.
Yeah. But from what I understood, how that worked was a company like Columbia House, and I could be totally wrong, but I thought that they had deals with the record companies that they printed the CDs and records themselves. I could be totally wrong, and somebody could be like, "They're totally." You listen to this, and
I've
be
heard
like,
that
totally
before.
Wrong. So they were.
And they were probably mass producing them back
Yes.
to the record companies for them, maybe.
I don't know, but that's how I guess they could sell them for 14.
Yeah. I mean, evolution's big. I just heard an interview with a guy. Netflix went to Blockbuster and said, "Buy us.
Yeah.
You need or Redbox or one of those companies." And Blockbuster was like, "What the? We don't need you. You know, like we're good." And a year later, Blockbuster called Netflix and said, "All right, let's talk." And they were like, "What? Are you kidding me? We don't need you. We're good." You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to evolve. It's a big thing.
Do you have any horror stories? Worst experience? Just one that we've talked before about. We're both obviously in business and we deal with the public, and sometimes it seems like you have a client or a customer that one thing goes wrong and then it snowballs and it just is a complete fucking train wreck. Have you ever had a situation, and you don't have to out the
you
band,
can air them out on here.
You don't have to air out any dirty laundry.
Meatloaf,
you can
we're
keep
talking
it
to you.
anonymous. But do you have any horror stories about just one that just went completely fucked?
I mean, I usually try to put those out of my head for the most part.
Yeah, we're going to relive it.
But we actually, an interesting one was we had, it wasn't really a horror story. Kind of, but a couple years ago with Four Chord Music Festival, we had a tornado that happened on the night. So a tornado touched down in Washington, which was, and it's, when we're doing a big festival like that, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of other things involved. And the tornado touched down. Luckily, we knew it was coming, and we battened down the hatches and everything. And as you know, with big weather like that, it doesn't last. But we still got the headliner on.
So but you have a lot of tents and promotions.
So how does stuff like that happen? So like in a situation where a concert has to be canceled or for weather or for, whatever, is there any sort of insurance policy or anything to cover your ass? Because at the end of the
Good.
at the end of the day, I'm going to get my tickets back. I'm going to get my ticket money back sometimes, or it's going to get rescheduled and I'll be able to use it at a different time. Does the band still get their guarantee if they don't go on? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, because I'll explain how that works. So somebody who's buying a show to go outdoors, you are taking the risk to put that show outside.
You, the promoter, or
Yes.
the band?
Okay. You as the promoter. So the contracts all state that if the show can't go on because of weather, the band still gets paid because they're there. You know what I mean? And
rain or shine.
Yeah, it's rain or shine. So you want to make sure that, there is insurance to take care of that, but just like any insurance, the way insurance companies
We're not there to make you whole.
yeah, well, weather insurance is very expensive, and it's got to be rain a certain amount at a certain time, and you pay for more for if you want to cover more time or less time, or an inch of rain, a half an inch of rain, depending on what you want to do. So it's not always. Because if you're doing a big show, your insurance bill could be $50,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So sometimes you got to bet on yourself.
Yes. So, but for the like I said, that's why and that's where 20 years of, 30 years at that point, experience came into play, where we made sure that for that festival that however we got the headlining act on, we did. So it was probably I think it was an hour and a half that we had no music, obviously because everything was happening, and there's a rain and everything, and you couldn't go on, and people that went to their cars or at the park there, there was places for them to go in the they were covered in the
Seek shelter.
Yeah, seek shelter. I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, by the concession stands, but that was covered by there too. So a lot of people stayed. Not everyone stayed, but we did get the rain subsided. One of the bands played acoustic. It was something different people never see.
Yeah.
And then, the other band played the whole set. Only one band didn't play, and we had to pay them. But
it was their choice.
Well, there was
no time.
It was no time, and their gear was all.
You just went out and grabbed the microphone. Who can we vote off of the Four Chord Music Festival?
No, it wasn't that.
They're like, Slipknot, get them out of here.
No. But their gear kind of got waterlogged and everything. But it was, that just kind of
the moral
happened.
of the story is insurance companies are always going to win.
Yeah, pretty much.
So in a situation, I don't know if you remember, I think it was last year or the year before, but there was a big controversy when Morgan Wallen canceled a show while everybody was at the show. Do you remember hearing about this?
Yeah.
There was a big
vocal cord damage.
Yeah, which they came out the next day, and not him, but there's a lot of speculation that he was all fucked up in the back. He was all
tuned
drunk.
up and had a
He was all tuned up and couldn't go on. How does that? Did they reschedule that show?
I'm sure they did.
Okay.
Now that's a whole different story because the artist canceled. So
he's not getting paid.
No, he's not. If he didn't go on and he couldn't perform or whatever, and he decided that he couldn't perform, then obviously he doesn't get paid. Then it's rescheduled and people hold on to their tickets, and but that happens all the time. Like somebody, I've had shows which especially during COVID, that was a whole big mess. But people would cancel and reschedule and cancel, reschedule. And it was, for an artist who cancels like that, that's just going to be rescheduled. And I don't have I don't have to pay them at that point.
But hopefully they'll come back.
Yes.
Keep the fans happy.
Yeah, because especially for the day of show like that, there was a lot of money already spent. Whether it was
parking,
well, just like for Morgan Wallen, if it was at a stadium, which probably was. They still had all the stagehands and everything, and all of the sound and light workers that put everything up already. So those people all worked and need to get paid too. So
there's a lot of money it already spent.
Yeah,
that has to be recovered, and then even if they reschedule now, you got to do it all over again.
Yeah.
So now you got to pay those people a second time. So where does that extra funding come from? You?
No, well, usually the way deals like that on the big end are dealt with, especially when it comes from the artist side. Where he was sick and or vocal cords or whatever, he can perform. It usually comes out of like the deal. Okay, we had to spend $50,000 in stagehands for that last show before they make any extra money, or depending on how the deal is, that would come out of their side.
Okay,
most of the time.
So there's enough profit in there from the artist side.
Yeah,
to be able to absorb that.
If it was on their end that they canceled.
We had Matt Light, local comedian here, and he was promoting his ugly sweater. And he explained it to us, like he does it at Stage AE. He's like, I had to pay for all those tickets, basically, before they would agree for, like, if no one bought a ticket, he was going to buy 7,000 tickets to his own show.
Oh, that's crazy.
Is that like the way it works?
No, a lot of acts don't do that.
Yeah. I guess lower tier acts, if they want to put on a big show, they have to come out of pocket at the beginning.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to, depending on what you're trying to do, and that's where it comes into the play where, where we talk about local acts. It's like almost every national act started out as a local act somewhere. So I mean, the ones who were more successful in promoting themselves kind of got to that next level, especially if they had good music. You know what I mean? So
yeah, if they learn the industry, because if they can if they're good and they can find somebody like you to promote them. You know.
But yeah, I mean, and that's where the biggest, and I always try to instill this in any local band. It's like, you got to get out. You think just playing your guitar and singing your songs is all you have to do, but at this level, you have a lot more to do to
get there. Yeah,
you want to be able to have people notice you, and whether that's through TikTok or whatever, or if your music's good, you should be able to sell it, but you have to get that music in front of people.
Yeah. There's a Pink Pony Club. The only reason I know that is like my wife and my kids and TikTok probably. But there's a famous video. She's in a park in like Oakland. There's like 9 people watching her. And now that song has done millions of dollars for her.
Oh, yeah.
So like, and you got to be in the right place, right time. Like you were in a business for 9 years before you got into the business. Do you have like a favorite local act? Like an old school Pittsburgh legend?
No, I don't know. Like I said, when I was in my 20s, in the 90s, there was a big surgence of there's local talent back then, whether it was the Buzz Poets and the Vibro Kings and Ronnie Mary and all those.
Buzz Poets takes me back.
Yeah,
Copenhagen Girl was like an anthem back in the day. We went to high school with I don't know if he's the lead singer. Definitely guitarist, Paul Menetiotis from Punchline back in the day.
Yeah,
that was a whole thing.
Do you remember who your first concert was?
I cannot remember my first concert. I'm trying to. I've had this question asked me before, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I used to go to concerts all the time, and I do not know who my first concert was. I would say my first festival, I went to Woodstock '93.
No shit.
Yeah, that was interesting. It was definitely an eye opener because
were you there for the craziness?
That was '99.
That was 90. Okay, yeah, that's
that was
right.
'99.
Yeah, Fred Durst wasn't screaming in '93.
Yeah, but Green Day. I remember that was when Green Day it was one of their first big events, and everyone was throwing mud everywhere, rain and everything. It was kind of crazy. And I remember I think it was during Metallica. Or I can't remember who it was, but just being in the crowd, and the crowd you're like standing there, but then you're off your feet because the crowd's just. I remember that was crazy. That was my first festival I went to was that, but I'm trying to. It's so hard to remember what my first concert was. I'd have to. I literally cannot remember.
How about you, Joe?
My dad took me to Garth Brooks in the Civic Arena, and I remember the Thunder Rolls was playing, and he had water running in the background. That was my first one.
Well, the thing about Garth Brooks is I remember that tour. Every ticket in that venue was $20.
Yeah, that's probably why we went. My dad was cheap, but I thought it was funny because when he came back and did Heinz Field, it was like I was not going to miss it for anything.
He put on a good show.
And my son was born the day I was going to go.
Oh, geez.
So I missed it.
Did she? Did she miss the concert or did you miss the birth?
Yeah, I missed the
priorities.
It was weird.
He didn't say which one he missed.
Yeah, it was a weird morning because like I had a bike trailer for my daughter and my wife just needed us out of the house. So we went for like a bike ride. So I was there watching him kind of like move stuff around.
Yeah.
I bought a t-shirt and a koozie and I was like, I can't wait. I got that out of the way. I'm going to go home, we'll figure out a way to get down there. And then my wife was like, yeah, I think I'm having this baby. And sure as shit, she did.
Then you can hold it in for a couple more hours.
I should have had the baby at the show. It would have been epic.
There you go.
That was, they always have a tendency to do that on the worst times. My wife woke me up when she was having Vinny and she's like, I think my water just broke. And I was supposed to go on like a day motorcycle trip that day. And I'm like, nah, Are you sure?
Well, funny enough, I was happily not going to go to the show because I knew what would happen. I'd be down there, I'd be 12 beers deep, and I'd be Ubering to the hospital, and it would have been a thing. So I actually was getting siding on the back of my house, and I took the window out because I was going to frame it over.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at her inside. She's like, I'm going into labor like right now. And I have the window out of the house, and I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I can't leave now. Like, the window's gone. Like, so I have a Lowe's receipt from like an hour before my son was born.
Oh, geez.
I was at Lowe's buying plywood to frame up the window. Yeah. My father was like, you're pretty good with a hammer because he came to watch my daughter. I'm like, I have no choice but to be. Like, I got to go. We got to go. So, yeah, that was 5 years, almost 6 years ago now.
Oh,
Time
wow.
flies.
Yeah.
So, you remember your first concert?
I think my first concert that I ever went to was a Billy Joel concert, but I went with my parents. But the first concert I went to that I wanted to go get a ticket and go see was Carlos Santana at Star Lake.
Well, do you remember the first show you put on?
First show I put on.
As Drusky.
I would have to say that was. I'd have to think about that. I could look back in my records and figure it out, but I want to say.
Were you like shitting bricks, or you were like, I'm a veteran, 9 years, I got this?
No, yeah, it was different. I want to say it was. See, I can't remember if it was my. I want to say. Do you remember the band? Kind of like the gothy kind of metal band, HIM, HIM. I remember it.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. I think that was at what was Club Zoo at that point.
Oh,
well,
wow.
I think it was that
Club
one.
Zoo.
Yeah. I want to say it was that one, or it was, they were really big at the time too. I'd have to look
So you
back.
did shows at all like Laga back in the day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's funny. It's like, I don't know. It's like knowing what I know now, I don't even know if I'd let my kids go to a show at Club Laga, like because I was there, like, and.
Yeah, because we did Altar. I mean, we did Altar Bar.
Yeah. Is that still there?
No, that's it. Back to it was a church, then it was Altar Bar. Well, and actually, it was a place called what was it? It was a dance club. I want to say I can't remember the name of the dance club, and then it turned into Altar Bar, and then the owner sold the building, and went back into Orchard Hill Church, another church. It was a church, a dance club, concert venue, back to a church. That was really weird.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen very often.
So before my time, I like really liked the old school Pittsburgh rock and roll scene. So like Norman Nardini and like even Billy Price and those guys. But there was a bar in Oakland called The Decade. Yeah. And there's like fantastic stories about that place. Like,
oh yeah.
Because there was some connection there where like the owner of the bar's like brother knew somebody that put on shows at the Civic Arena. So they would get like Springsteen before he went to the Civic Arena. Meatloaf performed there. It's like, it's that whole, once you get on the inside, you know, if you can sell tickets, you might as well do it. Yeah,
because I mean, well, yeah, the building is still there where The Decade was, but it's long not been The Decade. It's just a college bar now, I think. But yeah.
Not the Panther Lair, that's shut down.
I can't remember which place it is. Because when I'm in Oakland, you know, think about that used to be The Decade. And I can't remember what it is now. It's changed.
Were you ever at The Decade?
Yeah.
I'm trying to age you here, trying to figure out.
Nope, that was before me. Actually, I take that back. I think The Decade was still open for a little bit when I first started going to shows, but I never went to a show there.
They're one of the best stories I read in there. They have a whole book about The Decade, but Meatloaf, the reason I brought him up is because he was going to perform there. And the guy, I think his name was like Frank, the guy that owned it.
Yeah.
So their dressing room or whatever they prepped was like inside the kitchen area.
Okay.
And Meatloaf's standing there and he's in the way. He's a big guy. And then he's like, you're fucking up my dinner service. You're screwing everything up. Get out of the way. And he was like, do you know who I am? I'm Meatloaf. And he goes, I don't give a shit if you're linguine with clam sauce. Get the fuck out of my kitchen. And like threw him out, and Meatloaf never performed there.
Wow.
So he threw Meatloaf out. That was like, they said that was his personality. He just didn't give a shit. Like,
Wow. That's crazy.
And there's a bar I go to in Key West that actually has like the same parachute they had hanging in the Decade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was like their acoustic improvement was a big parachute. But it was never the Decade when we were alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, you follow that scene, it was kind of cool. Glenn Pavone and all those guys.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Is there an artist out there now that you'd like to represent, like a dream?
We can make it happen.
There you go. I don't know. I mean, I never really thought about it like that. I mean, I just try to do whatever comes along, and trying to think of acts that I've been trying to book for years, and they've never I've been trying to book back into Pittsburgh for years. It just never happens. Or Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson's never headlined a show in Pittsburgh once.
That's right.
He's never headlined a show in Pittsburgh, not once. Funny, I've tried for more than 20 years to get him here, and it just never happens.
There's a gentleman you might know.
But he plays Cleveland. I don't understand that.
There's a gentleman, Mike Pinto.
Yes, I know Mike Pinto.
I bought tickets to his show on 3 different occasions, and it's just never worked out. Like my babysitter quit. My wife loved him, and she lived in Hawaii. She was a fan of him. And the last time we were we had a babysitter come in for a trial run. We were good. No call, no show. Missed the show. He was playing in a bowling alley in Carnegie.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is meant to be. So if you know him, tell him to come back. He'll sell at least 2 tickets.
There you go.
Actually, you know what? My kids are older now. He'll sell 4 tickets because I just plan on bringing them so we don't miss it again. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. There's always, that's the fun thing I think though too is you never know who's coming.
Yeah.
You do. You know what I mean? You're on the inside. There's a band.
Everyone's coming.
Mr. Green Jeans played Jurgles.
Yeah, here's a funny story about that. I was the only one who's brought Mr. Green Jeans to Pittsburgh. Because I used to, getting back to the 90s, I used to, when I used to go to Ocean City, and I was like, Mr. Green Jeans would sell out clubs on a Monday night in Ocean City. It was like the thing to do. It was crazy. And I'm like, I'm going to bring him to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I brought him to Pittsburgh, and because Ocean City, at least back then, I don't know if it still is now, but it's Pittsburgh at the beach for the most part. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I had a buddy that worked in OCMD, and he heard him down there. I think they've been here twice since Mr. Green Jeans.
Oh, yeah. Well, they retired, but I usually bring them. Usually it's like every 2 years they'll come back and do a reunion show.
Yeah, they were here a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah. At Jurgles. Yeah. It's still a fun show.
Yeah,
Would you ever consider buying a venue?
I've thought about it. I mean, I owned Altar for a while, and when Altar closed, I looked at buying another venue and just couldn't find anything at that point. But there's a lot more headaches that go into that when you buy a venue. I mean, there's, like I said, you're dealing with a lot more than just selling tickets too. So I mean, I've done it before. Would I do it again? Maybe not. I'm not sure.
If you did it again, would you do something like the Altar Bar, or would you try to do like an outdoor amphitheater kind of thing? Or is there a particular type of venue that you prefer or would like to own?
I think the sweet spot would be at least 1,000 to 1,500 cap. On a club like that. As we talked about, the larger the band, the more money is at stake. You know what I mean? So if you're going to buy an outdoor amphitheater, there's a lot of money that goes into that. You know what I mean? And because you got to, where if you can own a club, maybe, you put a couple $1 million into that. But if you're building your own amphitheater, that's probably 10 million or more, which is a lot of money to think about.
That's a lot of paperwork.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as a promoter like that, you're kind of gambling on every show.
Yes.
Especially in this cancel culture now. You might have a show that everybody loves, that's an up and coming Morgan Wallen. But then he says something ridiculous on social media and you've lost half your audience.
Yeah.
So
maybe not for him. He's said some wild shit.
Yeah.
And people just seem to, so yeah, whatever. it's Morgan.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the country music scene now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was fortunate enough one long time, like a couple years ago, I was in LaGrange, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Sitting in a Lone Star Steakhouse, and I ran into a guy, and his brother is the agent for Cole Swindell.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what a small world. And like, I'm into like Billy Bob's Roadhouse, Texas, like that underbelly, like country where those guys kind of come from.
Yeah.
And he's like, you probably never heard of him, but he's this up and coming guy. And then I started naming songs that he sang, and he's like, oh, no shit. So like he actually sends me a Georgia Southern hat every year for Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah, I got 3 of them. I got blue, white, and then one that I don't even know what. It's like an off shade of yellow.
I like Cole Swindell.
Yeah, he's good. It was a good show.
Good.
I mean, I think music is what makes the world go around. I mean, money obviously pays the bills and makes things change, but I think that, like you said, your parents took you to a Billy Joel concert. You're obviously a Billy Joel concert fan to this day, like a Joel guy.
Fan,
yeah. And I think that there's just something about music that's never going to change.
Yeah, I read a quote once that said, music is what feelings sound like.
Yeah, that's a great quote.
Yeah. You think about it, it is.
Yeah, because if you're in a bad mood, you know the songs you want to listen to when you're in a bad mood. If you're in a good mood, you have your favorites, And like my daughter as a baby, I mean, I would play like Norman Nardini, I'm Burning Up to get her to go to bed, Yeah. And it was wild. My cousin just got married, and how big of a part music is in like everybody's life. Her dad taught me about Jimmy Buffett and Little Miss Magic, and those two sang or danced their first dance like to that song. And my daughter was like, cookies, cookies, cookies. 8 years old. She heard the song. She come running over because I used to like dance with her and still do to that song. So I was like, that connects everybody, So yeah.
So what's next for Drusky Entertainment?
Just do what I do. Till I retire.
Yeah, you got. How many years you got left?
I don't know.
Would you sell or just would you want somebody else running your company with your name on it? Or?
I don't know. I mean, I've never had no one's ever asked. So
it's for sale.
Yeah.
Zeros. Just add a lot of zeros.
Everything's for sale, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would I maybe I don't know. I mean. But, like I said, how much time do I have left? That just depends on how long I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because, it depends. I'll be 60 in 7 years. And I've thought about, will that be the time I retire? Will I not? Will it be 62? But what I don't want to do is work till the day I die either. So,
yeah.
Because my day just consists of getting up like 6:30, 7 o'clock every day.
And the phone never stops.
No, it's a lot more. Yeah, the phone rings a lot, but it's a lot. It's just emails and putting deals together and doing whatever you got to do. But I get up early to sometimes do that before the phone starts ringing and all the emails start coming in, or I'll do it late at night, after midnight or whatever, just because like during the peak time of the day, it's just constant, like. Emails with ding, 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 ding. It just gets crazy sometimes. But, but that's what's funny is people think, well, you own your own business. You can sleep until noon. I'm like, if I had my own business up until noon, I still wouldn't be doing it.
I think that's going to be the new reason we do the podcast, because I think that everybody just thinks when you own your own business, you're set, babe. You're set.
Yeah.
But it takes $120 to file for an LLC, right?
$125.
Yeah. So you don't file that $125 and the money starts rolling in. That's not how it works.
Exactly. But it is funny because people are like, well, it's like, some of my friends were like, well, I have a real job. I'm like, well, I have a real job too. And I probably work a lot more than you do.
Yeah. And I also think the misconception is like, I have people in my life recently that I've known for a very long time that have brought up the fact that they use my competitors. And they're like, well, yeah, that's just, I don't want to bother you. And I'm like, but that's how I eat. Like, you don't understand. Like, that's how I put shoes on my kids' feet. That's how I pay for the roof over my head. Like, you're not bothering me. That's what I do for a living. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like shocking to me to think that it's like, you just think you would use my competitor and that's doing me a favor? Like, the fuck world do you live in? Like, or you watch too much of the Jetsons growing up or something. I don't know what's wrong with you. Like,
to get to fun, that's a funny story. Like, similar but different. Where like friends were like, "Hey, can I get tickets to this or can I get tickets to that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." But then I said, you paid to go to a competitor show.
Yeah, and not only that, you paid to go to dinner, you paid the park, you paid everybody involved in this algorithm here.
Yeah.
But then you want me to give you free tickets.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about that when I was saying it. Like, now that I know you a little bit from this show, I would never call you up and be like, I need free tickets. I'd be like, hey, the fucker's sold out. Can I sit in like the back room and I'll pay GA, you know, I'll pay general admission.
Yeah.
But I think that's the other thing is people just expect shit for free. Mm-hmm. You know, and I do a lot of stuff for free for people. Jerry's got to yell at me to charge him for stuff. But like, you do things for people that don't ask for it. But like,
yes.
I would never call you up and be like, hey man.
I say it all the time. I'll have people that'll be like, I'll cut you a deal. And I'm like, don't. It's good because I'm not cutting you any deals when I bill you for your taxes or your books.
Yeah.
Like, don't start this shit because it's not going to go both ways because my kids got to eat.
Yeah, music's the soundtrack to money, and money makes the world go around.
Exactly.
I'll pay for my dry cleaning.
Yeah.
Because next month I'm going to be getting paid for that bookkeeping work that we're doing.
You're going to be pissed when that 400 comes out on the second. Like, shit, I should have charged him 475. Get ahead for 1 month.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look for handouts, man. I do.
I never even
want them
really
to
thought
answer
about
the
that.
phone.
As much as we were talking about your business, you probably get hit up
All the time.
20 times a day.
That's what all those emails are.
yeah. He's free tickets.
There was a lot of them that are like, well, people will try to like, especially with ticket requests. Like, I mean, I'll help people buy tickets, you know, for other things and whatever sometimes too, just because of my relationships. But I'm like, do not like message me on Facebook asking about tickets. Do not text me message. I said, the only way I'm going to remember is if you email me because there's just too much to, you know, or hit me up on
Dude, that's a big problem
Instagram
now.
or something.
We now have this. There's so many different ways to contact somebody.
Yeah.
Between texting and Facebook Messenger and Instagram Messenger and email, and that we get this overflow of information that there's just no way to be able to keep track of it all.
No, exactly. And that's how I run my business. Like you said, local bands or whatever, even agents sometimes will like text me and I'm like, it's too hard to keep it all together because there's so many ways. I say, I just love email.
In full disclosure, there was a Facebook game. What's the game called we were playing?
Oh, do you remember?
The word game?
Oh, yeah, the word game. Yeah.
And this dude I was like killing everybody in this game. And like, it just was a list of names. And you're like the king of the game. So I was like, I'm so good at this fucking game. It's unbelievable. I'm going right to the top of the list. And then he just kicked my ass like three games.
I think it's Word Blitz.
Word Blitz, yeah.
Yeah.
And like my wife loved it. And then I just was kicking her ass in it. She doesn't even play it anymore.
Yeah.
And
you ruined it for her.
Then I just recognized the last name and started like to the radio call. I'm like, I should hit him up and see if he wants to come on the podcast. So that's how this whole thing started.
Yeah, it is funny.
Word Blitz.
And see, those are the things like I try when I exercise. I try to get an hour of walking in every day. I've been doing that for 20 some years now. But that's the me time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll walk. I'll play the game. You know.
Yeah, because you get caught up in the business so much that you need something to take your mind numbing.
Yes, I was just going to say that, mind numbing.
Yeah, I like to have that's why during the football season I started watching a lot of football.
Yeah,
because it's something that I can watch and use my brain because I'm watching and listening and thinking about strategy and I can start thinking about I can analyze the game, but I'm not thinking about work.
Yeah,
so I'm using my brain, but also not stressing about work.
Yeah.
You need that.
And that's why it's great when, because I do that Steeler games. I go to Steeler games. But when Sunday afternoons, I try to keep it's great when they're on Sunday afternoons or nights, but I try to keep the Sundays, unless I have a show, I try to keep just for me.
You got to have that me time. I mean, or else, like you said, you don't want to work till you die. But like, God forbid you work till you die.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta have some. You're like, oh shit. Like, we did. I mean, I just made a huge bit change in my business. Like October last year, we got away from retail in the dry cleaning sector because I was committed to it. You know, I was there 7 days a week. Like there was no breaks.
Yeah.
And I have 2 little kids. And we decided years ago to take a family vacation. Didn't care. We closed the retail sector down. And someone said, well, how's that going to work? I'm like, I don't know. But Mrs. Jones isn't going to be at my casket being like, hey, do you have my Talbot pants cleaned and ready? But my kids are going to be sitting there crying. And I don't even know if you have kids, but like.
No kids. But but you're right. You're right. Because like you said, I mean, and you see small businesses like, okay, well, you know, whether it be a restaurant, we're closed for family vacation. And people can't respect that, you know, okay, hey, everyone needs their family time or
whatever it is, you need your time for your psyche.
But you see that for a lot of small businesses. We'll be closed from June 1st to June 8th for vacation. Okay. You deal with it.
I was shocked to hear you said you only have 7 employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to think like, you know, you had 150.
Yeah.
That's, so, I mean, you must have 6 good employees.
Yes, we do. Yeah, pretty good.
Team's been together for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Very, very informative.
This was fun.
You never know what makes another business tick until you talk to them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's not all Taylor Swift Era Tour. And,
no.
That's awesome. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem.
And, time's the most valuable thing we have. So thank you very, very much.
No problem.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.